the agenda in there along with Dave's notes about who would be giving which updates. So let's see, were we all good with note taking or any other things we should bring up before we get into the agenda?
Approving the meeting minutes dated September 1st. Thank you.
I guess I'm still kind of trying to remember, are we still moving and seconding and voting on all of these?
Yes.
All right, so can we get a motion to approve the minutes unless anybody had any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion.
All right, and a second? Looks like Steve is going to second it. Steve Powers. And then some up with the energy efficiency and heat pump community campaign.
Do we want to have a vote on approving that? That's just a second. I guess we need a vote on everyone approving the minutes.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. All right. Can we get a show of hands for approving the minutes? Anybody speak now if they don't approve the minutes? The minutes are approved. Let's see, and then, Steve, we have the draft resolution and info sheet for the energy efficiency campaign.
Right. Were there any questions on it? It's a resolution to basically approve a heat pump campaign and energy efficiency at the county level. Brenda, I think you're muted. I don't know if you're.
Just wanted to make sure that staff, Wendy, Jolene, and Patrice have all had a chance to read and vet this because they know what it'll take to get it through committee.
Exactly.
Any comments from staff?
I don't have anything to add.
Me either.
Woohoo!
I do have just a quick question. We are presenting this in recommendation, correct, to the county government to pass a heat pump campaign?
Yes, as far as I know, yeah. I had asked the supplier that we use in New Lebanon that we vetted to join us, and was going to join us at 10:15, but I think he can join us now if anybody has any questions. Should I ask him to come on? Is he here? Let's see. His name is Scott Arnold from Rycor. I don't see him yet.
I don't see him. I do see a number. Not sure who that is.
So if let me just ask you a point of information question. We're about to replace the heating system in our library with a heat pump in the next 30 days or so. If this is passed by this won't get to the full board until November, right? Because it'll go through county government. Now, Wendy, Patrice, it'll go to committee, because committee meets after the full board of supervisors. So it'll go to committee in October and then to the full board in November?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, this would follow the same type of protocol as the solar campaign, where we would have to submit an RFP to.
Okay. So it's
a few month process. It'll be much more streamlined than the solar campaigns now that we know what it is that we need to do. So I think that we can get it done much quicker than the solar campaign.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought if it was a municipal building, it didn't qualify for the grant.
That's correct. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, well then I won't worry about it.
And it would only be for any residential purchases after the NYSERDA approves the scoping document. So that's a ways down the line.
Okay.
The good news though is, Brenda, that you can get points for the clean energy program otherwise, like you're doing, Steve. So you'll still get points towards more grants for doing that project. It just won't count towards the county's campaign.
Okay, thank you. So if there aren't any questions, I think this is pretty straightforward. If our staff has vetted it, there are no questions, I would move that we present this recommendation to county government.
I'll second it.
Great. Okay, can we get a show of hands of all in favor? And any nays?
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you all. So no need to ask this guy from Rycor to join the call then,
I don't think so, and I guess
unless anybody has any questions about heat pumps.
I did see that email. We probably all received that there's going to be an informational session on Sunday as well.
But,
I think Kara sent that out.
Yeah, it's gonna be in Austerlitz at the town hall, I believe.
And I'll make a note to resend that to the whole group.
Great. You know, and also one other thing I'd like to point out too is that New Lebanon, even though we've achieved our goal, we're going to continue to promote heat pumps to our residents. And we've already gotten, I think, 5 sign-up post achieving our goal. And we'll continue to do it. So the town will benefit, the county will benefit from any future purchases that happen after NYSERDA approves it for any of the towns, including, I guess, Kinderhook is going to do it once they're approved. And New Lebanon. Is Taconic in Columbia County?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, so they're, I think, continuing to do it as well. That's how we first heard about it, was through Taconic webinar. So anyway, great.
Steve, the Village of Kinderhook got these approval from NYSERDA about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so we're in it too, and I think I have about 5 people already lined up. So
Tell them to hold off until it's approved.
yeah, well, they are.
And I did just post the time and date of the Austerlitz heat pump seminar thing that they're doing. It's in the
I see Susan has her hand raised as well.
Thank you. I just wanted to, this isn't really relevant to putting the resolution before the county, but just in terms of the campaign, I think Rycor, they mostly do mini split systems and there's a lot of older homes in the county, like mine, which mini splits didn't really work for, so we're now probably going to do a vented system with a different contractor, not Rycor. So I'm just wondering whether, sort of like the solar campaign, where ultimately the county chose, I think, 2 or 3 contractors, we might, you know, when the details sort of emerge on how we're going to do the campaign, might want to consider 2 contractors so that they can handle the variety of housing in the county.
Yeah, that's a great idea for sure.
Yeah. Bill, I wonder if Bill might share your, that applications you send to NYSERDA so that we see what was successful with one of the towns.
Oh, sure. I copied Steve, so.
Okay.
I'll send you ours as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a scoping document. It's
That's what I
the
was.
same scoping document you submitted for community solar if you did it at the town level.
Oh, okay.
But
I got it done.
Okay. Thanks.
And Matthew, were you going to ask a question as well?
No, I was just going to say that, yeah, I mean, as Terrence, we were part of the solar campaign and we vetted a number of providers. So I'd be willing to join a committee to do that for this campaign as well. Since Germantown is going to piggyback, we have people interested in heat pumps, so I'm probably going to have Rycor come. Yeah, so I'd be willing to vet a number of providers just to make an even playing field. Yeah.
do we have to wait until the supervisors approve it before we form that task force or the committee? Brandon, do you know? You're muted.
Sorry, I would think so, because otherwise we don't have standing. We don't have a campaign to form a task force for.
Right, okay.
Okay, and I just saw that Rycord joined. Nice to meet you. Steve, do you want to make a quick introduction? You can also just summarize what we just discussed.
Sure. This is Scott Arnold. I don't know if you have ability to show your face there, but the owner of Rycor and a number of our towns here in the county have been using Rycor. Just so you know, Scott, we already approved we just voted and approved the heat pump campaign, and we're sending it off to the county board of supervisors for approval. That's the next step. So I guess if anybody has any questions about heat pumps, they can certainly ask Scott.
That's great news. Are you guys able to see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Well, that's fantastic news because heat pumps are the future. They are the answer. We really need to be better custodians of the earth, and that's our mission statement at Rycor. It's all we do is heat pumps. We don't work on anything that burns fuel or anything that's not environmental. Happy to field any questions if you have any questions.
It sounded like, oh, sorry, Matthew.
Oh, no, my colleague and I were discussing this the other day. In terms of, is there a limit to how old the house has to be to retro outfit it for, I suppose that's every case. But a lot of people are asking about that because they have some old houses.
That's a great question, Matthew. And in fact, the predecessor program, there were lots of guardrails on it, had to be single family, owner occupied, couldn't be new construction. There were so many parameters that stopped the masses from being able to take advantage of these incentives. The new program that's out now, the New York State Clean Heat Program, they've removed all of them. Every single structure in New York State qualifies. It could be a single family residence, a multifamily, an apartment building, a strip mall, one space in the strip mall, dog house, an outhouse. We even put these in yurts, and I mean literally yurts in people's backyards, and they qualify for the rebate program. One of the staples of our company is that we process all of the paperwork for the client, and we remove the portion that New York State will pay for the project from the invoice. So an analogy would be if it was a $10,000 job and New York State was going to help out with $5,000 of it, we would invoice $10,000, show a $5,000 discount, and the homeowner or building owner or structure owner would only be responsible to pay the $5,000. Then we'd wait the 3 or 4 months, whatever it takes, on the building owner's behalf to collect the rest of the funds.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm really excited about the group that's here in front of me, and I really appreciate all the work that you're doing because we are the leaders of our communities, and I believe that it has to come from the top down, these types of changes, and we have to, I really believe that we all have to do a little bit, and when we all do a little bit, we'll see some real change, some good change, and it always comes from good forward-thinking folks like yourselves, so I really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Great, and I see Brenda's hand, and I think John also had a question.
So I had a question about sizing of the unit for the home, and whether or not there's any evaluation provided, some kind of evaluation service. So it would be, not only sizing, but do people need to look at the insulation in their walls? Do they need to know, what do they need to know in order to have this conversation?
It's a great question. Again, very good questions. So part of our process is that if a client or a homeowner or building owner is interested in pursuing the opportunity in New York State with their rebate incentives, we come over and do a home evaluation. There's no charge for that. We take some measurements, and we do need to go back to our office at that point and perform what's called a manual J-load calculation. The manual J-load calculation is an intricate kind of process where we enter lots of fields of information about windows and insulation values and construction types. And what it does is it populates through this program what the actual load is for the building on a 5-degree day or a 0-degree day, whatever the design temperature is for that region. Once we have that magic number, say it's 67,452 BTUs to heat a home, we have to install between 100 and 120% of that number in the house for it to qualify for the program and for the rebates to be viable. We obviously make sure that we do that properly every time because we're the ones that are on the hook waiting for the rebate. The homeowner has no liability in that. So if we do something wrong for some reason, which we don't, we're the ones that would be out those dollars, not the homeowner. So, but yes, all of that is included, and it's free of charge, believe it or not, that whole first portion, just in the hope that maybe the homeowner would make a decision to proceed with the project.
And I have just one other follow-up question, that heat pumps rely on electricity. So has anybody calculated, and I'm not saying you, I'm thinking of the state, have we thought about the demand for electricity as we switch over to this and whether or not it's available and what it will do to the cost of electricity?
Very popular concern. The infrastructure concern is one that comes up over and over again. And certainly that is not something I could speak too fluently than to say that I know there are very, very high, powerful people looking at that infrastructure and what the demand and what the availability is. And what the general census is that there's no concern in the immediate future. I'd assume that if we started to get the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of homes to convert, they'd have to make some considerations or some upgrades. But at the present time, heat pumps are so efficient that when you're putting them in a home, typically you're lowering the energy consumption, especially if that home had like a window unit in it or a central air system in it of some type. A popular misconception is that oil burners don't consume electric, but they do. They have circulators, they have blower motors on the burners. Sometimes they have a forced air system blowing the hot air around the house. A lot of times these heat pumps take less energy than those things do. So you kind of typically end up in a net positive situation when you upgrade a home to a high efficiency system, adding capacity back to the grid.
And I might add too that the New Lebanon is planning to convert the town hall to heat pumps, and we got an estimate from RICOR, and included savings of $8,000, maybe more than $8,000 a year over what we're currently paying for oil. So that's a big benefit for residents.
It's a valid point, Steve. And a lot of times in an analysis, what we find is, again, I'll refer back to that 10 and 5 scenario, or let's just make it easier and say a $20,000 job that has a $10,000 rebate. It's never that clean, but it's, typically around half, sometimes 40%, sometimes 70% is what the state will pay for in the current program, which is a phenomenal asset to making the change we need. What we do find is that the portion that the homeowner is responsible for, the delta between what the state pays for and the homeowner's responsibility, if they finance that, we have financing options again through the state, through banks, and they could do 0% interest for 18 months. They could do a low interest loan for 10 years. We could structure it in a way that the monthly payment is less than what they're saving on fuel. So essentially, they never pay a penny for the system. They never pay a penny for the upgrade.
John, did you have a question?
No, I asked it earlier and Bill answered it. Thanks.
So just a couple of things that might be noteworthy since I'm here is that if there were referrals coming through any of these entities, we'd set up a tracking system, which we're very good at doing for different resources that our entities that we work with. We're involved in a lot of groups similar to these. And what we could do is like a landing page or some type of equivalent tracking system where we can be sure that wherever the referrals are coming from, they get the credit for it. And also we do offer discounts both to the purchasers and to the entity, a bonus, like if you will, a spiff for the referral. So it's kind of good for everybody. That's one of the things that we're pretty accustomed to doing in these environments. I don't know if that's helpful, in this environment, but it's something we're accustomed to.
It'll come out in the RFP process.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think what was discussed just before you jumped on was that the resolution will go to our Board of Supervisors, and once that's approved, we can create our subcommittee, at which point I think we start crafting the scoping document, RFP, and circle back to providers.
Wonderful. If I can help in any way along the lines in that process, I'm always a resource to everybody. So we are the largest heat pump installer in the Northeast currently, and we're actually opening another location up by Albany in a couple of months, and we're looking to expand the footprint and make the changes, help to make the changes that are needed. So I'm always happy to be a resource to any of you for any questions you may have.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. If you have no other questions, I'll just sign off, I suppose, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Take care.
Bye.
Great. So then if we don't have any more to discuss about that at this time, we could move on to Tara's agenda item here, the Climate Adaptation and Resilience Plan.
Yeah, thanks, Terrence. So I don't have a whole lot to update as far as process goes, but my big thing that I want to remind everyone of is that for municipalities that are interested in participating in the resilience planning effort, which is free with the county's planning process, the deadline to adopt a resolution and kind of jump on board is October 31st. There's a lot of communities that have indicated they're interested, have it on their agendas this month. We have seen resolutions from both the town of Kinderhook and the town of New Lebanon. So I have those filed and the contact information for those people. If there are others that have been adopted already in September, just let either myself or Haley know, whoever you may be working with, so that we can make sure we're tracking. What we'll do at the end of October is we will gather all the municipalities that are participating. We will be communicating with Cornell Extension. They will take the process from there as far as the actual planning effort. I believe there will be a kickoff meeting sometime in November is what we're hoping for. Although, if there is a straggler or two, as far as communities go, we're certainly not going to exclude. This is a flexible process, and we understand that there's things that happen. So, if it can't get on the agenda in October, just keep us posted, and we'll keep the process going. So, that is the update for now. I don't know if there's any questions. Also the webinar that we hosted last month, we do have a recording of that we sent to the attendees of the webinar, but I have that available. So if anyone needs that, please let me know. It's a good overview from Cornell Extension of what the planning effort will be, what kind of time commitment, what we're asking for, et cetera.
And Tara, there needs to be committees from each town that participates, correct?
We're looking there's ideally going to be a committee structure. Cornell hasn't worked that through yet, what they're recommending. So right now we're just asking for a point person from the municipality that they can touch base with and kind of coordinate that effort with. So yeah.
Okay.
Cannon's voting Monday night.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Susan?
Yeah, yes, maybe I missed something, but did all the towns get an invitation to participate? Because I think Ingram would want to, and our committee is meeting soon. Find a point person. Did we get an invitation and I missed it? I apologize.
Yeah, I believe that there was one sent out through this committee to all the supervisors. And then Haley and I have been trying to communicate as well to individual communities. So I apologize if you didn't get that, but I'll make sure she forwards you the details so you can get that on your agenda.
Okay, and then after our committee meets, I can just, if I haven't heard from you for some reason, I'll just let Haley know where I am. Okay, all right, thanks.
Tara, is there a minimum number of towns that you are required for this to operate?
No minimum, but we are really hoping to get 15 communities, which is actually what the general interest is gauging at, maybe like 13 to 15, because that means that is basically our funding for the entire program. So we're hoping to do that all in Columbia County. But there is no minimum, to answer your question, though.
That would be great. That 15 would be 75% of the county. That would be fantastic.
So I guess just as a follow-up to Susan's question, is there anything this committee can do to circle up with the municipalities you haven't heard from?
I think that's definitely something we could use some support on. There are a few municipalities that would have received the supervisor email, but we don't have contacts with those communities. So I'm thinking specifically Claremont, Stuyvesant. I may be missing a few because I don't have my map in front of me, but there may be a few excuse me, of those communities on the river that we don't have contacts with. So I would just say if you can spread the word widely to anybody that you may know in those municipalities or any municipality, just to make sure that, you know, everyone's kind of gotten the information, that would be super helpful.
So Tara, if you could let us know, there's both a Board of Supervisors and both caucuses are meeting next Wednesday. If you can let us know which ones are not, that we haven't heard from, we can take it up in the caucuses before the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Great. Yep, I can absolutely do that.
That when your hand is raised?
Yeah, I did send out emails to all of our supervisors and mayors throughout the county. Susan, is there a particular climate smart email that, or a coordinator email or something that you would like to have used in the future for some of this information?
You can send it to me. You know, it's very possible that he forwarded it, and I just missed it. So I apologize. It's probably on me, but definitely can always send it to me for now. And then we're transitioning to a new chair of our committee, and I'll know who that's going to be.
Okay, so just make sure you update us on who the new chair is so that we can also update the website and at least put the chair's name and email address.
Will do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. I believe we can move on to the next agenda item. Thanks, Tara. For a community solar update, I don't think Kara could make this call. So Wendy, do you have an update to provide on the community solar campaign?
I'm sure. Kara didn't give me any of her information on Neighborhood Sun. She might have provided that to David. So maybe next month. But I did get an email from Nexamp. They sent out mailers. They had 25 leads, of which 16 people signed up, and they stated that that was a response rate higher than average. However, they did just receive word from that the National Grid farms are completely full with considerably long wait lists, and they are pausing outreach at this time because of the very long wait lists that we are now seeing with NYSEG and National Grid. They stated specifically if we had any individual households that wanted to sign up, Nexamp would pass that information along, but they most likely would not be able to commit them to another campaign because of the extremely long wait lists that they are seeing at this time. So I know that Kara Neighborhood Sun's numbers have been quite good. Higher than Nexamp, obviously. Nexamp has been within the county for a while now, so their numbers for this campaign might be lower because of that. But I know that Kara has been doing an awful lot of campaign driving and is looking to reach out to the city of Hudson, which I think is what they kind of wanted to discuss today. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it, and I don't have any information from her.
So I think the feedback that I've gotten is that the Neighborhood Sun has two competitive advantages. One is the bill that I've forgotten what that's called. Can somebody help me with the phrase?
The consolidated billing.
Thank you. The consolidated billing. And the other thing is that the neighborhood solar marketing materials are so much clearer. I know we discussed at the Board of Supervisors meeting, a number of people didn't understand the NextApp materials. They didn't know what they were communicating. But it sounds like it's too late to make any changes to that because we've already filled our capacity. Do we know if Neighborhood Sun is having capacity issues as well? Matthew?
I mean, as somebody, yeah, I'm in touch with Kara, and I signed up for Community Solar, and she's going to be sending out an update on the solar farms they're working on there, because there has been a delay. I mean, the campaign was back in the spring, and we had our 10 customers, but it has yet to show up. So I think they have delays as well. I'm not sure. Wendy, is the next step, when you say the waiting list is like 2 or 3 years? That's what I heard. It was like a year long. Yeah. I don't know that Neighborhood Sun is obviously that long, but there have been delays that are things that are out of their hands.
Well, if it helps at all, we had delays with Ampion that were somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 9 months, depending on where you were in our sign-up campaign. But they were able to sign up most of them, which was about 45 people, through attrition. They didn't have to bring new plants online, just people moving and people who were going to sign up who didn't sign up. So I think that I'm hopeful that maybe these wait lists will go shorter rather than longer. But I understand the reasoning between halting signups until we can clear some of the backlog up. And I think, do I remember correctly that we wanted to talk about Hudson because that's where our low income neighbors were, and we wanted to do specific marketing for them. I'm really hoping that we can do that because that's where it'll make an extraordinary difference.
Yeah, I can speak to that as well. I'm in touch with Kara. She was going to do the farmers market yesterday, but she got rained out. So I have all the materials because I did the event at Basilica, not low income event, but nonetheless, it was, the flyers look nice. And so I've been in touch with her, and we're trying to do a few events in Hudson as best we can. Yeah. So, and I have to say, when they hear about community solar, when they hear they don't have to put solar panels on their house, it is extraordinarily pleasing. And so I think it's a great campaign. I'm sorry that the wait lists are so long, because when you explain to folks, especially folks who don't have a lot of money, they love it. They like the idea of it. So hopefully we can continue.
This might be a lesson learned though for the when we do the heat pump materials, if we decide to go with multiple vendors to provide more capacity and also a broader range of services or choices, we might want to look at the marketing materials for both in advance to make sure that they're roughly equivalent, so that we've got easy to understand materials out there.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a fine line of not diluting the providers by having so many, but in this case, it would have been great if we had another option for solar, and it seems like we're locked in with the two that we chose initially, just because NextApp, I think, has been a little more difficult to deal with over time.
But something else you might do, Terrence, when we had trouble with Ampion, I've facilitated conversations with Ampion and NYSEG. And so Ampion was talking to NYSEG about what their growth was expected to be. And NYSEG was using that information to help bring more plants online. So there might be a chance here to talk about with some of these other providers, National Grid or others. We have these campaigns that are coming along. They're in the infant stages now, but can someone work with them to make sure that that we have enough capacity going forward?
And are you suggesting that would be kind of our subcommittee could reach out to those providers? I think it's a pretty good idea.
I'm wondering if that makes sense. I mean, advocacy and education, I think, is part of what we do. It seems like a logical extension, but I guess it's really more of a question than a suggestion.
Well, maybe Matthew, Steve, Dave, and I can circle up after this meeting, and maybe we'll just loop you into that conversation, Brenda, to see what that might look like, and if we can do that, or if it has to come back to the big group.
Yeah, and I worked with a community relations person at NYSERDA, which is what the supervisors generally work with that person associated with power outages in their town. But they're also, they're there to facilitate good relations between the utility and the town. So I think it's certainly a single conversation. It might be more than that.
The capital region campaign had a number of providers for heat pumps. So I think we have a bit more of a choice here than we did with solar. So we have a number of providers in the Albany area, and they're mostly in Albany. Brightcore is in New Paltz, which makes them very appealing, but we have a number of providers. So I think we're going to have a not easier time per se, but we'll have a wider net. We'll be able to cast a wider net.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think it's a completely different scenario with heat pumps versus community solar.
Right.
We have the problems with the utilities and the net billing, and also I heard that Central Hudson also doesn't have net billing either, and that's a problem there. NYSEG can be a nightmare, unfortunately, with their billing, and we have a lot of complaints from clients. But with heat pumps, it's just availability of the heat pumps. So either they have them or they don't, and that could be supply chain issues. But I don't think we'll have the same problems.
Well, just to be clear, my suggestion about the reason I looped in the community solar example was just for marketing materials for the program itself, because I thought that the Nexant marketing materials were very opaque. And we actually had supervisors bring them to the Board of Supervisors meeting and say, our community doesn't understand these materials. So,
yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yes, Susan?
Oh yeah, back to heat pumps. I should have thought to ask this when Rycor was on the line, but are those incentives you talked about, does anyone know if those are income-based or available to any homeowner?
Available to any homeowner, just based on the size of the unit itself that you install.
There are more incentives coming down the pipeline that may be income based. The Inflation Reduction Act that was passed at the federal level. We're not sure yet exactly what that's going to look like. Kind of being given to the states to kind of manage it. But also some additional tax credits that I think will be available as well with that. So, but Steve is right. The existing incentives are not income based. They're based on the size of your system or the type.
Okay.
All right. Anything else related to either solar or heat pumps? All right. I think I'm up next with the roundtable update. This is the event that we're going to host for the climate smart communities and conservation advisory councils in the county. So I've worked with a group to put together this event. It's going to be on October 20th. That's a Thursday evening from 5:30 to 7 at Basilica Hudson. We've come up with an agenda. We've sent out an invitation along with questionnaires for the chairs of those groups in the different municipalities to complete. Our goal is that we'll have everyone arrive, and it will be an opportunity for Dave to introduce the work we've been doing over the past year and how some of that work might coincide with work they're going to do on the more local level, as well as kind of outline what we're hoping to do in this upcoming year, and to hopefully then also make a pitch for more task force membership. So I think that's going to come up later in this conversation as well. I don't know. I don't think Matthew is on the call right now. Matthew?
No, I'm here.
Oh, great. Yeah. So Matthew, do you have an idea of how many people have RSVP'd so far?
Yep. We've got 22 people who've RSVP'd thus far, includes some of the people that are on this call, and some others. Other than that, I know that we're going to send it out in an email today to about what's like our mailing list, the Partners for Climate Action mailing list. It's included in that, so hopefully that will get it some more attention. But I don't actually know what the total addressable audience is in terms of how many people are on CACs or CSCs overall, but around 22 so far.
That's great. I think that's a good response, and I think as many of us who can attend would be great as well. I think at least a core group of us will be, and we'll be able to kind of answer questions and be there to facilitate. Basically, a large portion of the event will be, I guess first it would be David doing his introduction. Tara will be speaking about the climate resiliency planning, and then as a way of facilitating a quick round robin introduction, we're going to use the questionnaires that are being filled out ahead of time to introduce all the different chairs and committees in kind of a quick succession, kind of go around. And once we've done that, we'll break out into the kind of the two subgroups, climate smart communities and conservation advisory councils. And we'll have Steve's going to facilitate the climate smart communities breakout, and is it David from New Lebanon will facilitate the climate advisory council. Then our goal is just that we're keeping everybody in the loop and introducing folks. We're drumming up event or engagement with our task force as well. And yeah, I think it should be a good event. It's coming up soon, and it's all rolling along.
Terrence, I just popped the link in there if anyone wants to register for the event.
Yeah, that'd be great. Any questions or comments from the group? All right. Well, hopefully, if you do have any, or if you want to see the agenda beforehand, let me know. Otherwise, we'll either see you there, or we'll have a kind of a summary of it when we next meet as a large group. Great. And then let's see, we have both Tistria and Jolene on the line for the climate carnival planning.
Okay, Tistria isn't here today, so I can give you a brief.
I saw her pop up.
Okay, brief overview. We actually had a meeting scheduled for yesterday, but there was a little miscommunication regarding the time and date. But we are working towards a possible event for September, October of 2023. It'll be an expo. We're looking at Basilica and Hudson. Our objective was try to reach out to the school districts and try to get the younger population involved. We sent emails to every school district in addition to Columbia Green Community College, who immediately sent back that they were interested in providing a booth or a table to talk about different careers in the environmental field and some of the projects they were working on. So we're hoping to be able to, at our next meeting, discuss the possibility of the other school districts. We also are looking at a date in September of 2024 to have another carnival. So we're going to be working on multiple projects at once. And that carnival will be held at the fairgrounds again. So hopefully next month we have a little bit more information to share.
That's great. When you say like October 2023, I think that's so far away, but I'm sure it'll come by quick. So it's good that we're getting ahead of the planning. And I think it's great that more students will be involved as well.
Right.
Any comments or questions on that? All right. And Wendy, do you have an EV fast charging update?
You discard. I didn't realize that I was supposed to have an EV fast charging update for you. I do not. Sorry.
That's okay. We can circle back to it next month. And yeah, I'm not sure who. Is there, just for out of my own curiosity, is there a group working on this right now? I've kind of lost track of that.
What, within our task force?
Correct. Yeah.
I don't believe that there is. I was not on the last month's call. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, I did listen to the recording and everything. I don't know if anything came about after last month. I don't know if there's anyone on here that would have any further information on that. But no one brought anything to me that there was a committee or anything like that started.
All right. Well, to be continued. All right. The last item then that I see, and I think we can talk about this, and I have as noted as another that we might want to just discuss the timing of these meetings, because that came up in a couple of emails to the group. So the task force membership, I don't have any update. I think Dave was doing some outreach last month. I know that I threw a couple of names his way from Claremont and a teacher from the city of Hudson. In that, I was thinking, like, if we're going, as we discussed in the last meeting, if we're going to ask a teacher to sit on the committee, it might be tough if it's during a school day, if they're scheduled to teach. I think the roundtable will be a good opportunity to hopefully drum up some more interest in joining the task force. But has anyone either given thought to persons that we can approach or approaches we can take to getting more membership? Yeah, Matthew.
I mean, I think we should ask the individual communities to reach out, and I'm doing this in Germantown. I'm trying to find people in Claremont, which is a neighbor to Germantown. I'm just, nothing formal, but I think the Basilica event will be a great opportunity. The more people we can invite, but I'm just trying to get as many the word out in Germantown that we're looking for more help and more people. So just keep talking it up every opportunity you get with committees, local committees of any kind. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if everyone pitches in, if every town does ask a few people, then maybe we can get some more folks. The morning time meetings are getting a little tricky for me, but it's still preferable to the evening. That's just my 2 cents, or the weekend. So if we have to compromise, mornings I can make it work. I know it's hard for school teachers, obviously.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe for the roundtable we can come up with a quick kind of written appeal that gets printed on little flyers or something. Then we could use that language or those flyers when we are looking for more engagement. And I guess there could be people who are both members of the committee as well as people who are just kind of actively following and volunteering, because I think at times, especially with the carnival, we realized having volunteers can be very helpful.
Yeah.
Terrence, as far as a membership, the EMC representative from Columbia Green, Steve Gavlin, has agreed to reach out to the staff there and see if there is anyone who would be interested in participating in our task force.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Do we want to discuss trying to find a new time for these meetings, or is there enough of like a kind of a push in that direction? Does this seem to work best for most people? I guess everyone on the call it seems to work for, at least for today.
Like I said, I think this is a good middle compromise. I mean, I'm already caught up in the evenings, as I'm sure you all are, and the weekends aren't appealing. So, yeah, I can make it work. Some days I may not be able to meet, but for right now, yeah.
The only thing I can kind of imagine is perhaps if we were to start these meetings during a lunch hour, or during like 12 to 2, it might give folks who are in their workday the chance to call in during their lunch break. I'm not sure if that's preferable or not.
That's an idea. Yeah. But I'm willing to hear from other people. It's just me. So I have to run off to work in a moment. It happens, so.
Well, yeah, and what we could do is I can make a note and let David know, and then maybe we'll send out just a doodle poll to see what. I think we did this last year, so maybe it makes sense to do that. Regularly, kind of send it out to see what works best for the most amount of people, and let that kind of guide it. So if we're going to change the meeting times, we could do that on more or less the schedule.
We could circle around to it. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, well, I think we're through the agenda. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up?
Not at the moment. No.
All right. Well, I think we're all saving an hour today.
Will there be? I'm sorry, Terrence. Will there be a EV charge committee? Is that something we should think about for next month, as Wendy suggested? I mean,
What I might do is I'll go back to David and see what he had thought for that agenda item, and if he was to form a committee or at least get a conversation going, then maybe we can do that through email, and find the folks who are going to be most engaged with that, and then we'll be half a step ahead by the time we reconvene in November.
Okay, yeah, I'd certainly be down for, if Steve Powell, if the solar committee wants to ride again and do the heat pump committee, I mean, we can. I'm down for that. So loop me in on that email.
Sounds good. All right. Well, yeah. Unless anybody has anything else, thanks very much for, I think, a very productive meeting.
Great. Good job, Terrence.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.